Today, what we're going to be talking about is a Vars III video that came out, let me see, 6 days ago. I really like the title, and it's something I wanted to talk about on the channel. The title is Touch of Death Characters, the worst design mechanic in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. At a glance, I don't think a Touch of Death is a mechanic. It's a combo. It's like a thing. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a mechanic. It's just like a thing that exists. I don't know. Calling it a mechanic isn't right. Like a mechanic is like tripping or grabbing ledge. So calling it a mechanic is a little weird. However, I do agree that Touch of Death is super whack, and there is a handful of characters in Smash Ultimate that, you know, have access to actual Touch of Death combos. Okay, so let's go and listen.
Rather frustrating turn as of last year and the beginning of this one. Back in late 2021 and 2022, there's a greater emphasis on spacing and neutral-oriented play, with sword fighters and fundies characters like Palutena dominating the competitive scene. But as we enter 2023, with sword fighters and fundies characters like Palutena dominating the competitive scene. But as we enter 2023, however, players have optimized their punish games, enough to where a single mistake in neutral is enough to cost you upwards of 80% or
let's talk about all the Kazuyas. We have Princess Kazuya right here. Yep.
Even your entire stock, whether by edge guards or getting 0 to death. No matter what character you play, it feels like percent leads and stock advantages are meaningless in this day and age of Ultimate, where it feels more like Tekken. One person finding an opening and then running the opponent through a meat grinder of damage. None the more so than our group of fighters for today. Amidst all the swordies, zoners, fundies characters,
I think what people don't really talk about a lot when it comes to like these broken characters, right? So they do have Touch of Death combos, but what's turbo is that even if they drop the combo, you are like still usually at like 90 or 100. Like you're still one move away from dying. So even if the combo doesn't finish for whatever reason, if it's too hard, if there's not enough stage left for the combo to continue, etc., you're still gonna die like pretty soon.
Rushdowns, heavyweights, and the like, there exists a subset of cast members known for literally one-shotting you off a single neutral win. Affectionately, or should I say resentfully coined Touch of Death. As the name implies, you get hit by them once, you might as well assume your stock is gone. For today's archetype discussion, I want to go over Touch of Death
Wario is not a Kazuya. He's balanced. He's balanced.
Characters, and how the category has insidiously grown in notoriety as the game has evolved to be very 0 to death oriented as of late. Funnily enough, however, they need no introduction, as everyone by now has had the misfortune of being on the receiving end of one of their devastating combos. The practice of 0 to deathing was always controversial, on occasion being outlawed in tournament play if said combo was too easy to achieve, with the opponent lacking any agency in trying to escape from them. One of the most infamous examples would have to be the wobble setup in Melee, but things came to a head in Smash 4 where the presence of the new rage mechanic, among other things, has led to a number of ways for characters to take out stocks ludicrously early. I believe there was one setup where Samus
what percent did that
led to a number of ways for came to a head in Smash
11%, and you got grabbed and you couldn't do a single thing about it. Smash 4, beautiful game.
Smash 4 where the presence of the new rage mechanic, among other things, has led to a number of ways for characters to take out stocks ludicrously early. I believe there was one setup where Samus could dash attack into screw attack to insta-kill you from 0 due to rage applying to set knockback as well. Then with the release of Bayonetta, one of the most contentious fighters in all of Smash history, whose entire kit seemed...
Isn't it weird that some of the only characters that have ever been in the conversation for bans in Smash history were things like Ice Climbers wobbling in Melee, and then you know, Smash 4 Bayonetta, because that was up. No one ever talked about banning Cloud. If they did, it was because they were probably sick of it. And bad. Maybe a little bit of both. A little column A, a little column B, you know? And, you know, Steve is a 0 to death character, and Kazuya is actually the same thing, but I feel like, at least among the pros, nobody wants to ban Kazuya.
To be engineered to achieve 0 to deaths as their main playstyle. You'll have no trouble finding video evidence of this online, I can assure you. Despite Smash Ultimate being collectively agreed upon as the most refined installment of the series in terms of balance and mechanics, one area that has been measurably exacerbated is the number of 0 to death combos that exist. Whether it's due to this iteration having the largest roster we've seen to date, or if that
this combo is crazy.
That's just a coincidence, Ultimate has by far the highest number of 0 to death combos and Touch of Death characters in the game, bar none. Combined with the increased combat optimization with the game being out for over 5 years, and it feels almost as if every character is able to one-shot you in some way, shape, or form. More frustrating is how for many of them, 0 to deaths have become either a staple of their gameplay or straight up the main win condition, causing them to be dangerously volatile to play against. 3 fighters in particular.
Like, dude, that's so f***ed up, because like, look what happened. Look at this like borderline checkmate scenario.
More frustrating is how for many.
So, he side Bs, right? It gets shielded, so naturally you're in disadvantage here. He can act sooner than you can, so you put up your shield in defense.
0 to
He knew that, and he does this.
Deaths have become either a staple of their gameplay or straight up the main win condition, causing them to be dangerously volatile to play against. Three fighters in particular exhibit this characteristic, and are the ones that you see on the thumbnail: Kazuya, Luigi, and Ice Climbers. What distinguishes them from the rest of the competition is not only that they actively pursue zero to deaths as part of their core strategy, but doing so often is the most optimal way to play them, if not the only way to play them at top level. I assume the majority of you have already been acquainted with this fine gentleman before, but for the sake of thoroughness, let's give him a proper introduction. Kazuya is undoubtedly the most notorious of the trio, being a member of the controversial Fighters Past 2, and easily the most problematic of them, second only to Steve. With his electric wind god fist, he has a full body intangibility attack that comes out on frame 8, making it impossible for one to challenge him with an attack of equal or greater strength or speed. Upon successful contact, it briefly stuns the opponent before launching them a small distance upwards, possessing increased hit stun to allow Kazuya to follow up with effectively any move in his arsenal, even with the frame 7 jump squat. With how low the knockback
Forgot they actually balanced Kazuya in the way that he has a frame 7 jump squat, but it doesn't matter because his 0 to death still involves electric jump nair, electric jump nair. Like, the main issue people have with Kazuya over the other 0 to death characters is the fact that he has electric. Full body intangible. He's explaining it right now. It's just a move compared to like Ice Climbers at least have to like hit you with like side B or like get an up tilt involved in their combo. There's at least a little bit more like checkboxes that you have to hit and like more difficult moves to land. Like Luigi has to grab you and like Peach, I don't even know, down tilt.
Scaling is, he can repeatedly use neutral air to push them back to the ground and repeat the cycle.
It's like a move, not some move that just makes you God.
Most rudimentary 0 to death combo in his repertoire goes as follows: down throw, electric into nair followed by another electric into nair, then demon god fist, then down back tilt, down forward tilt, followed by one final electric before finishing with up smash. It's here that we notice the two key factors determining what separates a touch of death character and by extension a 0 to death combo from one that isn't. One, it can work on the majority of the cast, or ideally the entire cast. Some characters may have 0 to death interactions with specific opponents. Violet's up B ladder against DK, for instance. For it to be legitimized as a 0 to death combo, it has to work against everyone. Two, it needs to be easily attainable, whether against a world-class competitor or your local 2-2er. Characters may have some semblance of a 0 to death, but it might be too impractical to strive for, either due to relying on stage position, percentages, rage, being too DIable, or all of the above. In the case of Kazuya, electric's almost fixed knockback. Rage being too
F-tilt into forward smash? You can do that with this character?
Either due to relying on stage position, percentages, rage being too DIable, or for all of the above. In the case of Kazuya, electric's almost fixed knockback and ridiculous hit stun makes it virtually guaranteed whether you're fighting a tiny character like Olimar or a big boy like Bowser. The next fighter is Luigi, the originator of the Touch of Death moniker before Kazuya's hostile takeover. Personally, I find Luigi to sometimes be more egregious than Kazuya in this department. Not necessarily for being easier to perform, but rather the sheer lengths Luigi mains have gone through to find extensions, conversions, and variants of the initial combo.
Man.
Traditionally, Luigi's 0 to death involves down throw into down air, neutral air, then down air again, followed by an up air into super jump punch. That's the most conventional way to do it, but if you go through any VOD of a top Luigi player, whether Kirash, Guy, Luigi, Waka, Elegant, they have developed no shortage of ways to account for opponent DI or other things, including how to perform this even when the opponent is at a percentage higher than 0. Finally, Ice Climb.
I'm getting upset just watching this. I hate this. You can actually SDI Luigi combos. That is true. There is some cases where you do have a little bit of say in what happens, right? Like you can SDI, which means you can move your character's like model a little bit farther away from like the combo, making it harder to hit or entirely untrue. But Kazuya just doesn't suffer that. And that's not always the case too. Even if you do DI or SDI, sometimes you just lose anyway. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure most Ice Climbers 0 to deaths are the same way too, where you really can't DI or SDI out of them. Usually the case. Same with Peach. I've definitely, like, I have a really good SDI, and I've still gotten 0 to death to Luigi's. It doesn't happen very often because I have such good SDI, but, like, when you play a character like DK, it's just you're gonna die. You got grabbed. GG's.
Many players believe that camp.
You know your 0 to death character is broken when Game & Watch cannot up B out of it.
Out Luigi until he throws a couple fireballs in your face to get you.
And look, this one doesn't even start with a grab. Check this out.
Past 20% is enough to escape the bulk of his pressure. But Luigi mains have contingencies in place to still achieve kill setups from 20 to 40 to even 60%, forcing you to be wary of him.
Never mind, I thought it was a combo. I'm sorry, I misremembered which match this was.
To close it out at lower damage values than when most people would consider kill percents.
This is the one
That's another thing, percent windows. Snake's down throw up tilt only becomes true at 160 or higher, a far more reasonable percent than getting destroyed at 60 by Luigi down throw Cyclone even with good DI, simply because you were just too close to the top blast zone. Apart from these three, several other characters have been described as touch of death fighters as well. Rob's nair gyro throws into side B, perennially screwing over even the best of the best. Even after the nerfs, Wario has no trouble one-shotting you with a full waft or sometimes even a half one depending on where he is on stage. Lucario might be the closest.
I forgot that Wario got nerfed. Luto makes me forget.
You can include Steve's up tilt up air into aerial up smash as a touch of death, or you can include the however many ways Ness can be a side magnet to spike you off stage. It can get
True, speaking of characters that have touch of death combos and infinites, Ness is one of them.
Now, why do I consider touch of death characters and the notion of zero to death as the worst design mechanic in the game? The biggest one is that Smash is a platform fighter. The two genres are fundamentally different in how you conduct yourself. The reason traditional fighting games oversee frequent zero to deaths is because of the confined arena space. Success or failure in those games depends more on execution and timing than positional and situational awareness. Platform fighters contrast in that while execution and timing do matter quite a bit, positional awareness takes precedence, which is why players care so much about things like edge guarding, ledge trapping, juggling, and so on, all of which pertain to positional and situational awareness. But you'll find that the majority of stocks and percent leads are acquired through stage control and other facets involving position. Not just that, but the very basis in how you win is to cause a ring out, which gets easier the higher the opponent's percent is. But more importantly, the closer the opponent is to the blast zone when they get struck. Roy's double-edged dance doesn't kill until like 150 from all the way across the stage, but if you're right next to the ledge, that kills at like 40. It is such a war crime. Naturally, you'll want to situate yourself in a position where he can't capitalize on the immense base knockback of his moves. The problem with touch of death characters and zero to death combos in general is that they effectively remove all of that and transform Smash into a traditional fighting game with HP bars instead of percents. TOD characters are called such because they can one-shot you from anywhere on the stage, diminishing the importance of positioning, which platform fighters are predicated on. If you watch top-level Kazuya or Luigi play, the likelihood of all three stocks being taken by zero to death is extremely low. But that doesn't change the fact that the possibility is very much there, and does happen often enough for the players to have to think about it. Not to discredit the skill level of players who make use of them, it's not the fault.
I think, I kind of get what he's saying, like why it's such like a bad mechanic. I mean, do I even really need to explain why zero to deaths are kind of like, you don't get to play the game for that stock. GG's. That's awful. That just sucks. Everybody wants the chance to like outplay their opponent in like any fighting game that you play. Even if you get comboed, even if you make a mistake, you usually have a chance, right? You're put in disadvantage. If you look at like another fighting game, you get cornered or something.
It oversimplifies the game in a degenerative way, not a constructive one. Here's an example. Let's make moves Miami. Leo was cooking VV with Joker for almost the entirety of game 1, but then one single forward smash at max aura and Leo died at 30. In his set for Skinny the Pooh at, I forget which tournament, I think it was Port Priority, he was ledge trapping and edge guarding Mario for like a minute straight, and then boom, Mario gets a single up air string and he dies. Another big one was at Terra when Tweak was smoking Gluto for the entirety of last stock, only for him to get one nair into Banana and then Waft kills Tweak right then and there. Once more, I'd like to reiterate that I'm in no way trying to invalidate the achievements of these players or trivialize the work they...
It sucks because, yeah, it's exactly what he's explaining, where you outplay, you just absolutely dog walk somebody for 2 minutes straight, and then you make one minor miscalculation and you just explode. And it's like, okay, what happened to all the time that I put into the game and all the effort that I've put in understanding like every single situation, and like, you know, like you have to like think so specifically and meticulously about like so many situations when you play characters like Zero Suit or Sheik, you know, for good examples of people in the chat. And then like some characters just have like universal answers that will just get them out of most situations or just kill you, you know? Like Luigi, that entire time I'm dog walking this Luigi for 3 minutes straight, as long as he hits this grab, I could lose. He could win. He could be grabbing for 3 minutes straight and I could press every button in my arsenal 18 times and I still just like why did I put in that much effort? That's kind of the mentality
they put in. It's the character that's the problem. Zero to deaths are inherently aggravating on account of them producing an extremely high reward for only a single interaction.
To touch back, so I saw a tweet not too long ago and it was like, why do you still play Smash Ultimate, or like why do you keep playing Smash Ultimate? And somebody, it was like probably the most liked reply, it was sunken cost fallacy. And I've got to agree. Because I feel like most outsiders looking in will be like, okay, well, why don't you play this character that you're complaining about, right? He's broken. Just do what they're doing and succeed, right? You're the better player. You should be able to bring, like, you should be able to be even better than them, right? Like, no, I put in so much work with my character. I don't want everything to be for waste. Go to waste. It's sunken cost fallacy. Hey, but that's why us hardworking 9-to-5 Smash players who gotta, you know, we gotta outplay our opponent every percent. I hit my 2 reads with Zera, I get my 10%. I'm like, yes, let's go. I earned that 10%. That felt really good. And I just died 0. It's like, ah. And then I gotta get off of the Angel platform and I gotta just nair and zare some more. What am I gonna do, cheese them? Okay. I do think it's the touch of death characters that, do make this game kind of suck, and that's why people always say, like, Fighter Pass 2 is what killed the game or something. I don't like speaking like that. I don't like saying the game's dead or saying that people are killing the game or whatever, but it certainly, when you see things like this, it doesn't help. People who say the game is dead or whack, yeah, it's even more frustrating when people come into my chat and they're like, do you think the game is dead? Why do you still play this dying game? Like, come on, man. You have no tact. Despite being hyperbolic, saying that characters within that archetype are killing the game just demonstrates how awful it is to compete versus things like Steve and Kazuya. I mean, we all know it sucks. No one's denying that. I don't know why casuals say the game's dying, because they're not playing against that shit. They're just, from the spectator experience, they just don't want to watch Steve or Samus or Luigi. I wish you competed more. I mean, I would if it was fun. And if it was affordable. Don't forget that one. It's no coincidence that the best characters in the game are ones that kill you in like 2 to 3 interactions, and then characters that camp you so hard that you can't get those interactions. Like, they don't even get a chance to cheese you. Was year 1 meta fun? Hell yeah, that was peak. The first couple of years of Smash Ultimate was, loved it. It was so good. Aren't you competing more now though? Yeah, but you know what is in my region? You know what makes me want to not go to tournaments again? You know what the top players in my region play? We got Banjo, we got Sora, we got a couple Steves in the mix. We got me Brawler. Yeah. You want me to go to tournaments? I don't want to go to tournaments. I gotta play against that. Might have a Kazuya coming back soon. Yeah, and then Sharp says he wants to play Aegis against me now. And then, oh yeah, DM plays Aegis against me. You want me to go back to tournaments? Stop playing that shit. I don't want to go. Am I afraid? No, I'm annoyed and bored because I'm playing against the most boring and annoying shit ever. Brawler is fine. Is spoken like a spectator. Shut the fuck up. Big part of fun in the game is having options and the freedom to execute them. Once your opponent takes away your ability to choose what happens next entirely, you're done having fun. Yeah, against literally every single one of those characters that I mentioned, I have to camp and play their game. I don't get to decide a single interaction against those characters. You know what I do? I zare and I let them come to me. Because if I misstep versus Steve, I die. If I misstep versus, like, Sora, I start getting looped and up-aired and put in disadvantage. It's just like, I can't take any, like, crazy risks or, like, I can't press the gas pedal much at all. The Banjo player also plays Palu. Love when they play Palu. It's awesome. I get to play the game. I got to play against a Snake. Like, in the first 2 years of Ultimate, people hated Snake because he was too campy. I love playing against Snake. There's so much interaction going on. So much to think about. There's grenades, there's C4, there's just, will he close the gap? Will he dash attack? Is there a grab coming? Can I turtle here? Like, I have to solve a Rubik's Cube to recover because there's an up smash and a C4 on the platform, and he might have Nikita out. He could back air an entire area. Like, there's so much to think about. And it's Steve. And I'm like, okay, if he's too close, I'll down B. If he's far away, I'll just jump and react. Okay, well, that was boring. Time to go back to Zare and Aaron Fair.